Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and today we're going to have a look at the GFS and the ECMWF along with the GFS ensembles. First of all, we'll have a look at the GFS operational run, and we'll have a look at the ECMWF. And actually, I might put in a small section at the end of the video looking at highlighting the exact winds for Storm Ciara on Sunday. It's looking like it's going to be a very intense storm. Probably one of the strongest for many years. Potential for widespread 70 to 80 mile an hour gusts with potentially 100 mile an hour over the coast. First of all, we'll have a look at the bigger picture, and I'll focus on that after this bit. Storm Ciara is out in the Atlantic at the moment, and it's heading towards us, and it is just out here of this large area of low pressure. It's just forming to the south, and it's going to sweep through the UK, bringing milder air initially on Saturday and Sunday, but then sweeping through, and the isobar squeeze, very strong winds for the whole country. That's what was very unusual about this storm. You'd normally think with a storm this far north, it'd only be strong winds for the north of the country, but it's strong even for the south. And as that sweeps through, we get into that northwesterly sort of wind, potentially for some widespread snow showers and snow accumulating over hills and over mountains. As we move through, it's still an up in air. What's really going to happen is what's going to happen out in the Atlantic with developing low pressures. Because there's potential that these lows form further south or dive through the UK, which could bring some significant snowfall to certain areas. But again, we'll have to have an eye on that over this weekend and early next week. But it does look like it goes back into a more zonal phase, and it remains generally more milder than at the start of the run, putting in more southwesterly sort of winds, but staying very stormy and windy, especially in the south. Looking at that, these lows mill around over Scotland. It does look like it might go into a bit of a northerly to a northwesterly there, so maybe some cooler air moving in towards the end of the run. But then the high pressure moves in, goes a little bit dry in the south, and just ends up with a zonal flow. Quite deep area of low pressure there at the end. Look at the 850 hPa temperatures. Let me just change it to 6 hour, to 12 hour intervals so we get the general gist of it. Very mild air comes in with the Storm Ciara, and then that cold northwesterly feed comes in for a few days, potentially snow showers, and it's how this low develops here, which is going to be interesting because it's got very cold air on the back side and cold air at the front side, so it just depends whether we get the exact position of this to decide whether we could see any widespread snowfall. But soon after, more lows come in and bring much milder air. And we head to day 10, reasonably cool, but then the southwesterlies come back in, and it goes pretty mild to end the run. I'll have a look at the ECMWF quickly. I haven't seen this run, so it'll be interesting to see what's happening. And that's that low there on Sunday, midday. Storm Ciara. Very strong winds. Then we go into that northwesterly. ECM does something similar, but does have the low pressure move across the country. So it does potentially go a bit cooler there. And as we end the run, we go into very mild southwesterly. That wouldn't be good if you want any more snow. 850 hPa temperatures, very mild on Sunday, and then we go into that cool northwesterly, and then that low moves through, remaining reasonably cool underneath it, so potentially some snow further north, but then it does go very mild, and remains very mild to end the run. Lastly, we'll have a look at the UK Met Office, just see what that's forecasting. Actually, I've realised this on the GFS, you can't look at the shortest range, but anyway, we'll show you what it's forecasting for that lows in the middle of the week. Move through that low, sort of dive through the country, and similar to the ECM, sort of weakens and brings in reasonably cool air, but then sweeps through the country and goes pretty mild. So that's not anything too exceptional. As we look at the GFS ensembles for London, you can see here that along there with that's moving up that mild air with Storm Ciara, then it goes very cold and that northwesterly. Still a bit of uncertainty how cold it's going to remain, and how cold it's going to be when that low comes in there. Because if it remains around -5, potential for snow, but if it goes up towards -1, then it will be cold rain. After that, it does look like the temperatures are going to increase quite significantly. However, I wouldn't take this as literal, as the operational run's going much colder and cooler, and it has been flip-flopping the ensemble members. Last night it was going cooler. Earlier today it was going sort of zonal sine wave, and now it's going very mild. So again, I have to keep quite a close eye on what's going to happen after this, because it's so uncertain whether the jet stream is going to remain in control with the tropospheric polar vortex, or whether any high pressure will take any influence. So again, we'll have to keep an eye on that. The dew points are again reasonably cool, but then go very mild, so potential for a bit of snow, and the temperatures about 5-6 degrees next week. So it probably is cold enough for maybe in a heavy shower to maybe get a few flakes, but other than that, in London, I doubt there will be a lot of snow. Maybe at night, but we'll have to see. The wind, very strong on Sunday, as you can see there. Very, very strong. 20 meters per second, which I said yesterday was around 70-80 kilometers per hour. Which is around 50 mile an hour sustained. 40-50 mile an hour sustained. That's very strong winds. Then dies down a little bit, but remains fairly strong as we move through the rest of the run. Lastly, we'll have a look at the new snow depth, and it doesn't really many spikes. Again, I did say that it was likely that these snow depths will diminish as we get closer to the event, as they always do with marginal snow events. But again, we'll have to keep an eye on that later this weekend to see the exact position of any precipitation falling on Monday and Tuesday, which could bring a few flakes. Now we'll go have a look at the weatheroutlook.com. I'll be back in 2 seconds. And welcome back. We're now going to be looking at the Storm Ciara, with potential wind gusts that we're going to be seeing with that. Let's go through the GFS run. This is going in Friday night, so these are the gusts, remember, so 30 mile an hour, 40 mile an hour, quite widely. So you're getting a bit gusty tonight, before the very strong winds come in Saturday afternoon into Sunday evening. And there we get a real push of very strong winds, with gusts on the GFS going to around 75-76 mile an hour in the southeast, where there actually is currently an amber warning for wind. So we're going to have to keep a really close eye on that, because there's potential for widespread damage. You can see over sort of the mountains, Brecon Beacons, Exmoor, Dartmoor, there's going to be some stronger winds as well, and even in London, 67-68 mile an hour strength winds. It's going to be very gusty, and then it starts to die down a little bit, but remains relatively unsettled, with 20-30 mile an hour gusts. Next we'll have a look at the ECMWF, what they are forecasting. Actually, I didn't realise you can do the ECMWF wind. It must be the other website. Sorry about that. We'll have a look at the icon though. The icon is very good normally. It's more of a shorter range one than GFS is, so more detailed at least. So this is Friday evening. A bit, the gusts are not as high on the icon, which I'm guessing is the more accurate model, because it's actually a short range model, which the GFS isn't. And as we go through Saturday, the winds do pick up significantly over North Scotland. Look at that, 80 mile an hour potentially. And then, very strong winds. I saw a 95 mile an hour winds over the top of the mountains. That's going to be very strong if that comes off. And it moves south, 70 mile an hour out in the coastal sort of areas. Southern Ireland, 92 miles an hour. Few patches around 75. Inner London, only 49 to 50. And then East England, South of England, Midlands, 60 to 70 mile an hour gusts. But it does look like it's going to pick up again on Sunday evening to afternoon. And there, 80 mile an hour down the southeast, 80, 70, 90 mile an hour. Got that very significant winds on the icon model. That's hurricane strength winds. These category 1 hurricane strength winds. So that's going to be something we're going to have to keep a very close eye on. Make sure you hatten down the roofs. And stay indoors, because it's going to be wild on Sunday. We'll look at the arpege model. This is our last model, and we'll have a look at wind gusts. This is most reliable normally. Forecasting models most people normally look at. And on the arpege, we'll just quickly skip to Saturday afternoons. That's when the strongest winds start to move in. 60, 70 mile an hour further north, and then it moves further south and it gets stronger and stronger, giving widespread 50, 60 mile an hour winds for most of the country, and then the very strong winds as the main low comes through, or the actual storm moves through. 80 mile an hour winds in the north, and as it spreads further south, much more widespread strong winds here. 70, 60, 70 mile an hour for more widespread areas at 11 a.m. on Sunday. And as we go into the evening, we do get a big push of strong winds, not as strong as the icon was going with 80 mile an hour on the channel, but still 70, maybe 80 out at sea. But London going 73 miles an hour, so that's going to be very strong, potentially funneling effects through the buildings and towers could create some even stronger winds at ground level. It doesn't die down too quickly, it remains 50, 60 mile an hour through the night, and it looks like there even could be a few more areas of concern moving through, especially in the on the south coast. And it dies down a little bit before we bring in that cold northwesterly wind with some snow showers along it. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. We've had a look at the short range models, and it does very much seem to be an extremely strong storm on Sunday. Something you have to keep a strong eye on, and make sure you will stay inside and stay safe, as there is potential for significant damage, especially for trees falling over, potentially roofs, and like play equipment outside blowing around. So make sure you keep watch and try not to go out on around mid to late morning Sunday to early evening. Don't really go out between those times. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again tomorrow for another update.